What is going on? What is going on, Dodger fans? And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. It's June 5th. It's our first episode in the month of June. How's everyone doing out there? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are brought to you by Tick Pick and Fansided. This week, the Los Angeles Dodgers can declare themselves the kings of New York. We beat the New York Yankees in the best of three. We took 2 games and we split with the New York Mets this series in a best of 4. It looked like the Mets were on the verge of taking this series against the Dodgers, but the Dodgers once again proving they are the comeback kings, rally in the late innings and steal this one from the New York Mets to split this week's series. I know we lost the season series to the New York Mets, but the Dodgers improved their record overall, and we're looking pretty good in early June. We're 38-25 with a 2-game lead over the San Diego Padres. Let me pass it over to Jake Reiner, who was watching today's game. Let's get your thoughts, Jake, on the Dodgers.
Well, like you mentioned, Kevin, it's another comeback win. I looked up the numbers because I was curious, and because watching these games, I feel like we're always coming back. We're always down and having to rally. And it's kind of crazy. We lead Major League Baseball in comeback wins. 21 of our 38 wins are come from behind. That's a 55% clip. While it's cool and it's kind of dramatic to watch those games and see the Dodgers come back, it also isn't sustainable. It's also describes what we've been going through this season, which is it feels like we're just kind of treading water, trying to stay above the surface here, because the pitching staff is so in shambles, specifically the bullpen, but also the starting rotation. We've talked about this ad nauseum on this show, but again, another game where the Dodgers offense just does not get cooking. It's like the two sides of the ball can't get in sync with each other. The pitching staff, starting pitchers give up runs immediately, and the Dodgers offense takes a while to warm up, and then they eventually do. It is a frustrating team to watch, but I'll tell you this podcast episode is going to go a lot different today now that the Dodgers were able to split the series with the Mets. They also beat the Yankees and won that series. So a pretty good homestand, I would say, by all accounts. They faced 2 really good teams, and this is a pretty decent outcome for that and a good litmus test for this team. And also kind of shows you that even when the Dodgers are as banged up as they are, they can still compete with anybody, which makes me think once this team gets healthy again and once they start making trades at the deadline, I think we're going to be in a lot better moods and we're going to jump out to leads a lot better.
Yeah, I think the first point you mentioned about how this team continues to have to make rallies to come back, it stood out in this series. It continues to be kind of a theme for the Dodgers. That first inning, the Dodgers starting pitchers continue to give up runs in the first inning. And I'm glad we don't have to see Pete Alonso for a minute, because he torched us in this series. He looked like Christian Walker, easily put, 4 home runs on the board? He was on fire. Going back to yesterday, for example, why the Dodgers maybe lost that game. There was some bad defense, but Tony Gonsolin is a pitcher that continues to struggle in the first inning. In his 7 starts, he has a 7.71 ERA in the first inning. Landon Knack threw, I think, a clean first inning today, but in the early innings, he ended up getting into some trouble, and the Dodgers were down early 1-0 after he gave up that solo blast, I believe, to Pete Alonso. And then he ended up kind of getting beat around, and he didn't pitch very deep into the game. But there's been other Dodgers pitchers that are kind of culprits. Yamamoto, in his rough outings, I've noticed if he has a bad outing, it's in the first inning. Clayton Kershaw, another pitcher, he doesn't usually throw clean first innings. So I think that's one of the biggest attributes right now for the Dodgers is keeping the opposition off the board in that first or second inning and let the offense on the Dodgers side get that early lead, because we haven't really seen that much at all this season.
We really haven't. And that is concerning, also not sustainable. I don't need to tell you that. It goes without saying that this is not a way to win for the rest of the season, especially if the division is going to continue to be this tight. The other point is that these relievers are having to pitch so many innings. We also lead baseball in reliever innings. Just look at today. Knack only goes 3 1/3. He gives up 4 runs and walks 5. There was traffic on the bases all day long. And I'm kind of amazed at this pitching staff that they were able to keep the game right where it was and not let it get too out of hand. But after Knack left the game, you got Jack Dreyer coming for 2 innings. Then you got Urania coming in for 2 innings and a third. And then Vesia and then Tanner Scott. But the point is that these relievers are being asked to do things, Ben Kasparius, another one, that they wouldn't normally have to do if the Dodgers had a really well-rounded starting rotation that could go deep into games.
Yes. Since the last time we've spoken and gone live, Chris Stratton was DFA'd and Jose Urania is now a Dodger. I guess he's the new Brent Honeywell. He's already pitched 2 games for the Dodgers, and credit to Urania, he's actually done fairly decent so far. He hasn't extended or put the Dodgers in a bigger deficit. So credit to him today, because he went 2 1/3 and he only gave up a run. So I'll take that 8 times out of 10, depending on what the circumstances are. So can't complain there. Tanner Scott, he's looked good in his last 2 outings. We haven't really talked about this entire series as a whole, but that first game where Tanner Scott came in the 10th inning in a 2-2 game, and he just looked awful out there, and the Dodgers eventually go down 4-2 and lose the game. But then credit to Dave Roberts for going back to him the following night, and Tanner Scott absolutely annihilated Juan Soto and Pete Alonso, and he holds on to get the Dodgers the win. And then today, Tanner Scott, in a 1-run game, comes in the 9th inning. Really no damage allowed. I know he gave up the 1 base hit, but he gets the save yet again. So 2 solid innings in a row from Tanner Scott. So we're on a happy path forward. This series as a whole was kind of interesting. It did kind of feel close. The Mets are a good team. I have to give them a lot of credit. Griffin Canning last night, he pitched his ass off. The Dodgers just couldn't touch him. I know he's a SoCal native, so I'm sure that felt good to him. But yeah, the Dodgers had no answer for Griffin Canning. And then tonight, this afternoon, it looked like they were going to drop this game. And I mean, going against the Mets' best reliever, Reed Garrett, who had like a .75 ERA entering today. Impressive that they were able to get to him. He blew his 3rd save on the season.
Brett Beatty didn't really help him out. I don't know if you saw that play, Kevin, but it was a play at the plate. Will Smith was dead to rights, and Brett Beatty double clutched, bounced it to Alvarez, the catcher. It got by him, and then Reed Garrett tried to grab the ball and was like boxed out by his own catcher, allowing Will Smith to score. So, yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are a scrappy team. They get it done. This offense is relentless. It can wake up at any time. And so that is what this team has going for them. And the offense has carried them all season long. I did want to make a comment about Tanner Scott. You mentioned that, credit to Dave Roberts for going back to him after he blew that first game against the Mets, and then going back out there and holding the Mets scoreless in extra innings, something he couldn't do the night before. But to be honest, like, Dave doesn't really have a choice here. They're paying him $70 million to close games. And because they don't have any of their other high leverage guys healthy, Kopech, Trinan, Phillips, Gratterall, any of those, Yates, any of those guys, it's not like they can put another guy in that role and switch it around. They don't have that luxury, because the next best reliever is probably Ben Kasparius and maybe Jack Dreyer. But those guys are going to be used how they're used, which are, kind of in different weird roles, long man roles or fireman roles. And so they have to be malleable, and Tanner Scott has to kind of figure it out. I'm glad that it looks like he may have. I think this might be a turnaround for him, because there really is no excuse. You got to come in, you got to close the game. They're paying you a ton of money to do it. So hopefully this is a sign of good things to come for him.
Yeah. And I'm not in the camp at all to remove Tanner Scott from the closer role or high leverage. So it's early enough in the season. You just continue to let him figure it out and prove himself. And the track record historically has spoken for itself. The good news is you mentioned Kirby Yates and Michael Kopech. Both of them are expected to be activated off the injured list over the weekend against the St. Louis Cardinals. If you had to guess which two Dodgers are going to get axed from the team, the first one that comes to mind, I don't even think it's a debate, has to be Ryan Lotus, the Flying Lotus is what I'm calling him.
The White Lotus.
Well, he's the Flying Lotus because all he does is give up runs and home runs. The balls are flying off the bat whenever Lotus is pitching. He has not been good so far. Doesn't mean he can't turn it around, but he has not impressed me. The other case of who gets sent down, a little more interesting. I don't think the Dodgers would immediately get rid of Urania, but it might have to be him because I don't think Lou Trevino's going anywhere, and everyone else right now is healthy. So it may end up being our buddy Jose.
Which is tough because he's actually been quite good. Is Alex Vesia out of options?
Why would you ask that?
He might be. I don't know, because he's struggled this year.
They're not going to send down Alex Vesia. Not yet. He's a two-time World Series champion, according to David Vassegh.
Yeah, he's given him much more credit than he actually earned.
No, it would be Bond. I think Bondo would get DFA'd before they even consider moving Vesia off the team.
I know. I was just looking to see what all of our options would be there. But I think you're right. Lotus is going to be the first guy out the door. And then they got to figure out who's going to be next. But can we talk about Miguel Rojas now?
You can talk about Miguel Rojas. I just want to say real quick, because I see some people mentioning the trade rumors. We are going to talk about Dodgers trade rumors in a little bit, so hang on for that. Let's talk some Miguel Rojas. I'm open to it.
Okay. I want to see him off this roster. I'm done. I've been done for a while. His glove does not warrant him a roster spot anymore, because I believe that they have guys that can play multiple positions well, to where his value, I don't see what it adds to this team, because putting him in the lineup and giving him 3 at-bats or 4 at-bats a game when he plays is just an automatic out. Whether he gets out and doesn't turn the lineup over to Ohtani or grounds into a double play, he is useless out there. And I just don't understand what we see in him anymore. They got rid of Chris Taylor. They got rid of Austin Barnes. Those guys were staples on this Dodgers roster for a long time and contributed a hell of a lot more than Miguel Rojas has ever contributed to this team. The only thing I can really think of that Miguel Rojas contributed to this team was that he preserved Clayton Kershaw's no-hitter back in 2014. But other than that, I don't really know what else he provides.
That's the first stint, Rojas, so you can't even count that anymore.
I know, you can't. So, and I'll let you speak here, Kevin, about him, but I'd like him off the roster. But I think once you finish your comments, we got to get into this thing he did on TikTok for ESPN, where he named the best Dodgers at each position since the year 2000.
Well, thank you so much for granting me permission to speak on our show. I really appreciate it. But
yeah, of course.
Getting into Miguel Rojas, he's been bad. He's in an 0 for 15 slump. He's 4 for his last 35. That's a 114 batting average. The year as a whole, he's been their worst hitter without a doubt. 209 hitter, 242 on base, 517 OPS. Unless Miguel Rojas turns it around, which is not looking very likely, I don't think he's going to be a Los Angeles Dodger past the trade deadline. Our good friend Bob Nightingale already wrote an article about 4 or 5 days ago where he reported that the Dodgers are in the market for a left-handed bat. Well, guess what Miguel Rojas is? He's a right-handed bat. So what does that tell me? You look at the Dodgers roster, there's an odd man out there because no one else is going to get sent down or kicked off the roster. And we'll talk about Max Muncy turning it around in a few minutes too, after the whole Rojas debacle. But the Dodgers, in my opinion, are going to acquire kind of a back of the bench left-handed bat. I'm thinking maybe outfielder. a late inning defensive replacement, because you kind of look at who's on the team. Michael Conforto, not a good defensive outfielder. Teoscar Hernandez, not a good defensive outfielder. Do you really want to put Kike out there in the outfield? You might not be able to if he's starting that day, if they're facing a lefty, or he got burned as a pinch hitter. And Miguel Rojas can't play the outfield. So I know I already teased this name to Jake, so he's going to be annoyed at me. But one name that I think the Dodgers could realistically pluck off from a losing team that's going to be selling, the Chicago White Sox. I'm keeping my eye out on Mike Tauchman, who's hitting .321 with a .989 OPS. He's got a couple home runs, 9 RBIs, and historically has a good track record of being an awesome outfielder. I remember in 2021 when he made that Spider-Man catch, which you could argue was the reason the Dodgers lost the division. I know there's a lot more games, but that's just one game that stood out to me. And he's a left-handed outfielder bat, and he would be really, really cheap.
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised at the longevity of a Mike Tauchman. He has been able to stick around with a bunch of these teams because he continues to show that he can play. And he's having a monster season this year. So hopefully that means if they acquire him, he can continue that for the Dodgers. I just don't know what's going to happen with the likes of a Michael Conforto at this point. I mean, he had a pretty clutch hit today, a hit with runners in scoring position that he hasn't had since the Obama administration. So he looked like if he could continue that, that's great. I mean, he hasn't really hit well at all, but a go-ahead RBI against his old team is definitely encouraging from him. So let's see what happens. But I like the idea of Mike Tauchman if he can keep this up.
Cool. Well, let's get into the Rojas thing you wanted to go into now.
Okay, so I saw someone post a screenshot of this thing that Miguel Rojas was asked to do by ESPN on TikTok, which was name his Dodgers all-time team since 2000, which if you want to go back in the Incline archives, Kevin and I already did this prompt. But if you look at this list, there's not really a lot of names that stand out to you as egregious, right? I mean, he has Mookie Betts in right field. He has Matt Kemp in center, Cody Bellinger in left, Justin Turner at third. You could make an argument for Adrian Beltre, although he only had one great season for the Dodgers, so I'm okay with Turner there. Second base, Kike Hernandez. Okay, I don't really see it. I mean, Kike is more of a, utility guy, clutch guy in the postseason, but I don't know if he's the best second baseman since the year 2000, but okay, I'll buy that. Freddie Freeman, absolutely. Will Smith, absolutely. Starting pitcher Clayton Kershaw, absolutely. Relief pitcher Kenley Jansen, yeah, I buy that too. I mean, you could go with Gagne, but longevity, Kenley Jansen for sure. Now, the name that blew my mind, and when I saw the screenshot, Kevin, I thought maybe Rojas was saying this, in jest or tongue in cheek, right? Because he put himself as the shortstop, the best shortstop on the Dodgers since the year 2000. And so I was curious, and I went and looked at this video on ESPN's TikTok page. He says it with the most straight, confident voice I've ever heard. Straight face, confident voice. Miguel Rojas, like there was no other option but to put him there at shortstop. What the hell, man? Like, if you're going to put yourself on that list, at least have a little levity of, a little I know I'm probably not the guy you're thinking of, but I have to put myself on there. Make some joke about it. But the fact that he honestly put himself as the shortstop when Corey Seager exists, Hanley Ramirez exists, Rafael Furcal, Trey Turner. I mean, I could go on. Cesar Izturis. All of those guys are way out of Miguel Rojas's league. I don't understand what he was smoking when he created that video, but it just goes along with his, as the kids say, aura, which I don't believe there is any. And I want him off my team. I hated that answer. I hated the way he did that. And I just think it stinks.
I don't know what else to add. I guess he's one of those players that thinks he's much better than he actually is at this point in his career. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of arrogance. Anything else you wanted to add about Miguel Rojas? Otherwise, we can expand this now to the Dodgers source list that you sent me, because I have a couple issues with that I want to challenge too.
Well, we can move on if you don't have anything to say about that. I just thought it was egregious, but the list that I did send you, I thought was a little bit more in line with what we might have said if we had done this.
Yeah. I'm not in a bashing mood today so far, but Miguel Rojas hasn't really warranted a spot on this Dodgers team, especially in the postseason. I mean, let's remember his injury actually benefited the Dodgers after that NLDS colossal error he made, because the Dodgers benched his ass and then went to Tommy Edman, and we had a lot more sustainability and a safety net out there when Edman moved to shortstop, because Rojas lost us that one game, and that was quite infuriating. And I don't want to think about that anymore. But anyways, if you haven't hit that like button yet and you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. Likes go a long way, and we'll start taking questions in a few minutes. So get those questions ready. So we'll go with Dodgers.source on Instagram. They list their 2000s Dodgers all-time lineup. Start with the lineup first. So Shohei Ohtani at designated hitter, obviously. Mookie Betts right field, felt obvious to me. Freddie Freeman at first base, another no-brainer. Matt Kemp at center field. This is the first one I don't agree with. Can you guess who I'm going to go with?
Bellinger?
It's got to be Cody Bellinger. I mean, Matt Kemp had that amazing 2011 season where he obviously would have won the MVP. But I mean, Cody Bellinger was the better Dodgers center fielder. I mean, forget about the last couple years where it was just like watching a dying dog out there. Cody Bellinger from 2017 to 2020 was an electric player, and he was also a much better defender than Matt Kemp. Bellinger won an MVP in 2019. He arguably helped the Dodgers win what would have been their 2017 World Series as a rookie. And then in 2020 had the iconic Game 7 home run off Chris Martin. I don't know how you can have a Dodgers all-time list of the 2000s and exclude Cody Bellinger.
I'm with you on that. And I understand the Matt Kemp thing, because Matt Kemp is a Dodgers favorite, a fan favorite. I mean, him and Andre Ethier were great together, and he had that great 2011 season, should have won the MVP over that steroid user, Ryan Braun. So I see why Matt Kemp would be in center field for most fans, but I agree with you. I mean, the resume for Cody Bellinger just far outweighs what Matt Kemp did. Not to mention, Cody Bellinger won Rookie of the Year in 2017, and he won the NLCS MVP in 2018. So his resume is it far surpasses Matt Kemp in a lot of ways. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're adamant of having Matt Kemp on this team, then maybe you can put him in left field over Sean Green. But I feel like I still am going to lean Sean Green. I think what hurt Sean Green is he just didn't play for good Dodgers teams. But if he was playing for the better Dodgers teams, Sean Green would have a bigger legend attached to his name, because every season that guy was a slugger and pretty consistent.
And also just the height of the steroid era he was playing in, and the fact that he was able to hit 49 home runs one year, which was at the time the Dodgers record, single season record, before Shohei Ohtani smashed that last year. So to me, Sean Green was a sort of the last of his kind of breed, which is just a natural power hitter that didn't need to take steroids, and played a great outfield as well. But yeah, it's just unfortunate he didn't play for any real like meaningful teams for the Dodgers.
Then there's third base. You mentioned Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre is on here. I cannot put Adrian Beltre as the Dodgers all-time 2000s third baseman. I think part of this bias that came to be is because Adrian Beltre went on to have a Hall of Fame career for a number of other teams. But the bulk of his damage was not done with the Dodgers. He had that one sensational walk year where he was second to Barry Bonds for MVP. But other than that, Adrian Beltre wasn't exactly that great of a Dodgers third baseman when you compare him to Justin Turner, which I think has to be the Dodgers all-time 2000s third baseman. Justin Turner was obviously not a Hall of Famer, but he's the Dodgers all-time postseason hits leader. The guy was nothing short of a clubhouse leader and a staple for the Dodgers for nearly a decade. He had a few all-star seasons. He was the definition of clutch. He helped them win the 2020 World Series. He was a big part of 2017, which I mentioned, part of the Bellinger argument. You got to have Justin Turner for third base.
Oh, it doesn't. There's no argument. I think people feel like you just said, like it's the lore of Adrian Beltre. The what could have been, right? I mean, the Dodgers definitely should have held on to him. There was no question about it. We were during the Frank McCourt years where nothing was going right for us, so you kind of understand that. But I always miss Adrian Beltre in that sense. I wish that the Dodgers would have kept him, because if they did, they wouldn't have had this like long carousel of different third basemen that you probably don't remember. A guy named Mike Edwards comes to mind. He was manning third base. Someone else brought up Norihiro Nakamura. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many names that came through the Dodgers, turnstile there to play third base. It's got to be Justin Turner. I mean, it just has to be. He is Mr. Dodger, Mr. LA. He is the kind of the mascot and the symbol of this new era of Dodger baseball dominance in Major League Baseball. So yeah, you got to go Justin Turner there. Yeah.
And then the rest of this, I agree with. Will Smith catcher, Corey Seager shortstop, Jeff Kent second base, Clayton Kershaw starting pitcher, Eric Gagne, and Kenley Jansen as the relievers.
Yeah. And I think maybe utility, if there was a utility spot, I would put Kike or maybe even Chris Taylor, but I think I'd go Kike there. Rojas had Kike at second, but I'm with you. Jeff Kent to me was great for this team. They didn't really have that many like long tenured second basemen since the year 2000. They've had so many guys there that it's hard to really nail down like one guy that I would love to see there every single day, but Jeff Kent was great.
Yeah. I mean, if we had a little bit more time, we might be able to make the case for Tommy Edman when it's all said and done. But again, there just hasn't been much Edman in our lives yet as a Dodger. Are we ready to talk about Max Muncy?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm always ready to talk about Max Muncy. I love him.
Well, first of all, you've been right so far with keeping the faith with Max Muncy. I'm looking pretty wrong right now for giving up on him a little bit too early. Shohei Ohtani has a big competitor right now for the Dodgers MVP. It might be the eyewear doctor, because whoever is prescribing these glasses to first Kike last year and now Max Muncy this season seems to be working wonders and is adding value off the field that is now making big impacts on the field when he tells these Dodgers, yeah, you've got some eyesight issues. Max Muncy has ballooned his numbers up now to – he had 1 home run for the longest time. Now he's got 9 home runs, 35 RBIs, the 348 on base percentage, a 773 OPS. So he's almost up to that 800 OPS. Over the last 7 games, he's got 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a slugging over 1,000. And he's definitely stomped all over Nolan Arenado now, who seems to have kind of gotten into a really cold spell. You look at the numbers side by side in terms of offense, Max Muncy's beating Arenado in every category. The one issue with Muncy that still exists is the defense.
Yeah, I was just going to point that out. The defense is atrocious. He knows that. Everyone knows that. You kind of take it with a grain of salt because the bat is there. Before it was like he wasn't making good plays at third and he wasn't hitting. And it's like, what is the point? But for me, I've always believed in Max Muncy, the hitter. He just has one of the best eyes in all of baseball. His at-bat quality is through the roof. The way he works counts is beautiful. He works walks, and what tends to happen when Muncy is not going well is that he misses pitches that he normally crushes. So he's hunting mistakes. That's his specialty. And when he finds a mistake, he usually obliterates it. And right now he's on the baseball. Like he is crushing these balls. No doubt about it. Home runs. He's got that swagger, that bat drop swagger, the bat flip swagger. It's there. It's back. He looks so confident at the plate. and a confident, like pissed off Max Muncy with an attitude is like the best version of this guy. And to kind of, allude or reference one of the guys that we have on the show often, Chris Camello, I'm pretty sure he would make a major league reference here to Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn, because Ricky Vaughn, played by Charlie Sheen, had some control issues on the mound, and then they realized that he can't see real well. So they gave him a pair of glasses, and that's when he turned his season around. And that's kind of what's happening here with Max Muncy.
Yeah. Even like the advanced metrics entering today, Max Muncy has a 119 weighted runs created plus. So now he's well above average. He's just looking a lot better. So credit to Max Muncy for really turning it around offensively. He had that huge home run. He had a 2 home run game in one of the early games against the Mets, and that helped the Dodgers roar back and have that comeback victory. So,
before we get to this question, I just wanted to point that out, because in that 2 home run game, the one that he hit in the 9th tied it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what broadcast you were watching, Kevin, but it was airing on TNT, and the broadcaster for TNT was Don Orsillo. Don Orsillo is the normal play-by-play TV broadcaster for the Padres. And I went back and listened to his call because I just wanted to see if he gave it that Orsillo, like, crazy over-the-top call that he normally does for the Padres, or would he be more like stifled or pissed off or reserved? This guy, it was as if they played like the opposing team calling the home run, where it's just like, and there's Max Muncy hits a home run and the Dodgers tie the game. He either was like calculated in knowing that Padres fans may get on him if he's too excited, or he actually was not happy that the Dodgers tied it in the 9th, given the fact that he's probably a Padres homer. But it was just funny to go, if you have a chance to go back and listen to his call, it was so subdued and just totally unlike him. I just thought that was a funny moment.
I did not watch the TBS one. I'll go check that out, but I guess I'm not too surprised. We'll get to some questions now, so I'm opening the floodgates. If you got questions for us, we'll take your questions, starting with No Name. Who is the most overrated Dodger of all time?
All time?
I'm not going to do all time because I can't go back to like the 1950s or 40s. I'll do in my lifetime. So just to kind of put some perspective there, so no one says, how can you leave out so-and-so from 1987? Like,
yeah,
we're going to do my lifetime. So 90s and on. The first one that comes to my mind, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, Yasiel Puig. I feel like Yasiel Puig was made into some superstar, and he came out of the gate hot in 2013 and had an all-star season that next year in 2014. But after that, I mean, Yasiel Puig was mostly just a locker room cancer, and he was putting up basically average numbers. He had that amazing home run in 2018 in the World Series off Erod, but for the most part, in my opinion, I didn't really buy the Yasiel Puig hype. I was happy they traded him. I always felt he was overrated.
Okay, I think you're wrong. Hold on. I'm looking up his postseason stats, and he was pretty great in the postseason. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's properly rated. I mean, who would have thought a guy that was able to escape, Cuba and come over to the United States and play like a wild horse, like Vince Scully called him? I mean, he was terrific. He was electric. He came alive in the postseason. He hit 280 in the postseason, nearly an 800 OPS in the postseason. So I don't agree. I don't agree that he's the most overrated. I thought you were going to go with like Gavin Lux or something like that. Like a guy that was like super overhyped
can't call him overrated if he isn't good.
No, but he was a highly touted prospect that was supposed to be way better than he was.
Biggest bust. Yeah, but
sure.
Overrated.
I guess this is semantics, but like, I don't know. I completely disagree with your Puig take. I think there are many more guys out there that I can't think of off the top of my head if I had more time to think about it. But come on, Puig was great. He had a terrific arm. He was electric.
Could not wait for the Dodgers to trade him.
Well,
And
that's because he had a clubhouse issue, but not because of his play on the field.
he had some bad postseasons. Do you have
So
anyone?
what?
Do you have anyone in mind?
Overrated Dodger. I don't know. I have to think about it. I don't know. I mean, Gavin Lux is certainly up there.
I'm trying to think like those NLCS teams from 08 and 09, if there was anyone else that I could think of that was overrated, but I think I'm drawing a blank because everyone was properly rated. No, I guess I'll just stick with my answer.
I don't know. I mean, like you could look at like Jason Schmidt, like he was a guy that came over.
He wasn't on the field to get rated.
I know, but he was terrible when he was on the field. So I don't know.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
I see someone asking, is tomorrow a bullpen game? I believe so. I believe that, to answer your question, Roy Estrada, tomorrow is a bullpen game because they want Yoshinobu Yamamoto to never start on 4 days rest, which would be the case if they didn't give the extra day rest and go with the bullpen games. So yes, they're going to go. I don't know who they're calling up. I don't know who's starting, but it will not be Yamamoto as far as I'm aware. So yeah. I wanted to quickly talk about some of these other Dodger starters real quick, and then we can dive into the trade rumors. So this is like an on-the-spot segment. We're going to just say, are you concerned or are you not concerned? I'm going to name some of these Dodger starters. So the first one, we talked about him earlier. And when I say concerned, I mean trusting him in a game that like actually matters, not his health, but trusting him on the field in a game that matters. Would you be concerned with Tony Gonsolin taking the ball in a big game for the Dodgers?
1,000% I'd be concerned. That guy is a home run serving up machine. So you put him in a playoff game or a pivotal game and he starts giving up home runs like he did against the Yankees, which is the game that I was at. And the Dodgers were able to come back and win that game against Max Fried, which was crazy. But you put a good team like that, you spot them runs early in a game, in a playoff game, it's tough to come back from that. So I would be completely worried to have Tony Gonsolin pitch in a meaningful game, which is why I hope these pitchers come back or they make a trade for one so that we don't have to have this conversation.
Yeah, Tony Gonsolin has been very frustrating as a pitcher this season. He's got a 6 FIP, a 5 ERA, and he's just looked bad pretty much every outing. Even the most recent one, he recovered after kind of a bumpy first, but against the Yankees, giving up the 4 home runs, I'm not trusting that one bit. Next one, Clayton Kershaw.
I need to see more from Kershaw before I give you that answer, but I'm leaning towards concerned with him. He just does not look like he has it anymore. He's pitched okay at times, but very hittable. And unfortunately, I think the other night though, against the Mets, he was kind of screwed by a Max Muncy error that led to some runs. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there, but he hasn't looked all that sharp coming back from his injury. But I want to see more. I want to see some more starts from him before I say my piece.
So first of all, with Clayton Kershaw, he's only made 4 starts, but they've been some kind of rough 4 starts. My biggest takeaway, and I know one of these games was cut short because of the rain delay, but 8 strikeouts over 15 and 2/3 innings pitched is probably my biggest shocker, is that he's just lost pretty much all his ability right now to strike out hitters. I thought this 3,000 was going to happen pretty quick, but he might be cutting it close, and who knows at the rate he's going if he's going to even get to 3,000 strikeouts. He's going to need to string together a few outings where he gets 5 to 6 guys to strike out in a single game. Otherwise, this 2 strikeout a game pace might not cut it.
How many more does he need?
I think it's I think he was 26 away from his most recent outing, but I know it recently changed. I got to look it up real quick. It's in the 20s, but so he's at 2000. Okay, so it's 24. He's 24 away.
He'll get there. I think he'll get there. The Dodgers, if he's healthy, they're going to send him out there every time. They don't have a choice. They really don't. They're not going to cut Kershaw if he's able to pitch. He's going to go out there and pitch, so he'll get there.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned as well with Clayton Kershaw. He just has not looked good. The ERA is not performing where it should be because he's got an ERA near 5 and the FIP is over 5. Next one. A little bit of a curveball here. Tyler Glasnow.
Well, you know how I feel about that. I don't think he's coming back. I have no faith, 0 faith he's coming back to pitch for this team in October. So yeah, it's a full concern for me.
If Tyler Glasnow can get back by early August and just pitch until the playoffs, and he looks like the Tyler Glasnow we're accustomed to, I feel perfectly fine with him taking the ball and him taking the mound. But these conflicting reports right now are just so infuriating. You've got Dave Roberts and the medical staff saying that after he threw just the other day, he was feeling body soreness everywhere. And then you've got Tyler Glasnow the next day saying, oh, I feel perfectly fine. I'm going to go throw on Friday or whatever. At this point, I'm willing to trust the Dodgers medical staff, which I know is a very dangerous trust route to follow, over Tyler Glasnow. Because I learned from last year that every time Tyler Glasnow said he's coming back soon and he's feeling fine, he never came back.
I know. And when Dave was telling the media about about Glasnow's body soreness, I don't know if you saw that clip, but it looked like Dave was not too happy. Like it looked like he was a little frustrated with this. And why isn't it just, I don't know. It kind of reeks of Glasnow not having that like will to come back or that toughness to come back. And I don't want to, make too much out of that because I don't have all the details. This is just pure speculation, but I don't know. There's nothing that really tells me that there's like this dog in him that he wants to die for this team. And so that's why I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to get my hopes up. If he comes back, great. If he pitches, great. If he pitches in the postseason, great. But until that happens, I'm not going to hold my breath.
Fair enough. I don't think I have any other Dodgers pitchers I want to talk about right now. The rest of them, you got Landon Knack.
I mean, you could throw Snell out there too. I mean,
I believe in him.
We don't, but do you believe that he's coming back from whatever injury he has?
I believe. But if he gets another injury, it might be game over. Then I'm going to be pretty scared.
I know. Well, I also don't trust Landon Knack in a playoff game. I don't know if you were going to ask that. Even though Knack has looked better recently, he looked pretty bad today. And there's just a lack of consistency with him where you feel like, oh, he's turned a corner and like he's putting together some good starts. And then he has this clunker and you're like, what is going on here? He's walking guys. He's getting into deep counts. There was traffic all over the bases today with him. I don't know what the deal is with him, but I also would not trust him in a start.
I truly believe that if in a perfect world we get Snell back, Ohtani back, Sasaki back, and Sheehan back, all from their injuries by the trade deadline, one of Landon Knack or Tony Gonsolin won't be a Los Angeles Dodger after the deadline. Because eventually, best case scenario, there's no room for all these scrubs, and you can't have them all be long guys or sitting around in AAA. And the Dodgers might try to flip one of them for a bat or some prospects, which brings me to my next point. Per Jeff Passan, notable players potentially available for the trade, notable players potentially available for a trade. Ryan O'Hearn, he's on the Baltimore Orioles. Brandon Lau, He's on the Tampa Bay Rays. Juan Moncada, Angels. Bo Bichette, Blue Jays. Luis Robert Jr., pass, White Sox. This is where it gets more interesting. I think starting pitchers, Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, Tyler Anderson, Walker Buehler, Tyler Mahle, Nick Martinez. Any of those names entice you?
Well, I'd love Zach Gallen, but the D-backs are not going to give us him.
No.
That's not happening. So. Nick Martinez, no thanks. Walker Buehler, I would take back. I would, in a heartbeat. If he's, I don't know. Pull up his stats. What is he doing this year? I think he's having a pretty decent year. But he seems to be healthy. It's the devil kind of thing. We know what he's like in the playoffs. That's a name I would like back.
Decent is a very accurate picture because he's got a 4.44 ERA. He's made 9 starts, 42 strikeouts across 46 innings thrown, and a WHIP of 1.3, which I don't like that part. Either I froze or Jake froze, I think. But anyways, I'll continue to talk because I can't figure out which one of us froze. But Walker Buehler, I'd be open to it if the Dodgers were to bring him back. It would have to be a low trade cost. I don't know if the Dodgers are going to go back that route. Yeah, we lost Jake. Let me get him in here. All right.
What did I get cut off or something?
Yes.
What was I saying?
We were talking about Walker Buehler.
Yeah, I want him back in Dodger blue. I do. I know what I was saying is that the Red Sox team he's pitching for isn't that great. So I factor that into. I think with this Dodgers offense behind him, I think he'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Dodgers even need a starting pitcher right now. I'm not against it. It'd have to be a low cost acquisition. Like I don't want to give up a top prospect or even a decent player to get Walker Buehler back, especially when they could have had him this past offseason. But of all those names I listed, none of them blow me away.
What about the bats?
Even the bats, none of them really blow me away. I like Ryan O'Hearn. I think he'd be an awesome addition. I just don't know if he's a good, capable left fielder. But he could be a tremendous upgrade over Conforto if he can play the left field and field that position. He's having
a great season. He's hitting 326 with a 4.11 on base and 9
one
homers.
Of the few bright spots. But of those starting pitchers, I actually think I would prefer Tyler Anderson over Walker Buehler. But I think I've learned the hard way that the Angels are just not willing to deal with the Dodgers. So I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah.
Relief pitchers, Kyle Finnegan was mentioned. I know you like him, and Chris Camelo likes him more than I do, but he's available apparently.
I mean, I don't like him as much as Camelo does, but I think he could be a serviceable reliever for us.
Let's get to some questions relating to this. Harmony Davis, do you all trust Dustin May in the regular season? Sure. In the playoff starting game, no, I do not.
Right now, do I trust him in a playoff game? No. But I think he's pitched pretty decently for us this year. And to his credit, he's available. And to me, that speaks volumes. That's why, even though Landon Knack has been kind of iffy this year, I respected the fact that he's been available to take the ball every 5th day. I mean, that's the bar right now. I mean, so Dustin May has pitched well for this team. And if he continues to improve and he goes on some sort of hot streak or whatever, then I would trust him in a playoff game. But today, I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah. Dennis Gonzalez, would you consider a Walker Buehler, Jarren Duran package? The reason Jarren Duran's name has floated is because Dennis Lin of The Athletic reported that the San Diego Padres are heavily trying to be aggressive in pursuing the outfielder from the Boston Red Sox, which, I mean, makes sense. He's an awesome hitter, a good base stealer. And I know the Dodgers, I think, were linked in there as a potential team also that could get in the Duran chase. I mean, if we got Jarren Duran, I'd obviously be ecstatic because he is a big upgrade over Conforto, and the guy is fast. I would love it. So what would it cost, though? That's the big question.
Yeah. Duran is he's hitting 274 on the year, 4 homers, 35 RBIs. Not a great on base percentage, and I'd like the OPS to be a little bit higher than 746, but he's 28 years old and he had a monster year last year. Of course, you'd love to have him on the team.
It's just
But
weird
yeah, the package is the what to give up for that package is the question.
It's just weird to me that the Red Sox went from heavy buyers this offseason to now they're going to be potential sellers after they made the big Garrett Crochet trade. It's just weird how that works sometimes.
I know. Didn't you expect them to be a little bit better than this?
Duran?
No, the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, they should be above 500. What are they currently at? Let me look it up. 30 and 34, fourth place. Yeah, I mean, that's the two teams that I thought were going to be the best teams in the AL East are actually the worst two teams right now. Baltimore and the Red Sox have heavily underwhelmed thus far. And I thought the Yankees were going to be overrated and not a threat. And they're the one team that's running away with the division right now. Speaking of that series, we didn't have to really recap it. Any quick thoughts on Dodgers Yankees?
It was electric. I was there for game 1 with Tony Gonsolin on the mound, and I thought, oh God, it has a potential for him to get lit up, and that's exactly what happened. But kudos to him because the first 3 innings were terrible, but the last 3 innings he pitched were perfect. So it was kind of like tale of two halves, with him, and he was able to give the Dodgers bullpen some length and keep it where it was to where the Dodgers could come back. I loved what they did against Max Fried. Fried had kind of owned the American League and baseball so far this year, and the Dodgers were able to get to him pretty good. And then the Dodgers just unloaded on the Yankees bullpen. So that was kind of electric, and the atmosphere was great for those games. The next game, the Dodgers put up 18 runs. That was pretty awesome. And it just goes to show you, Kevin. I mean, I know we've talked about this, and some Yankees fans and specifically some of their players from last year wanted to make the argument that they were the better team and they just, beat themselves and whatever. This series was kind of a reminder that, you know what? It wasn't a fluke. It was actually the Dodgers were by far and away outclassed them, outplayed them, outmanaged them. So it was a statement series. I'm happy with the way it went, even though they dropped the last game.
Yeah, and the last game was the game I thought they were for sure going to win with Yamamoto taking the mound. I was calling him the Yankee Slayer, and he actually was the one that got beat up by the Yankees. But yeah, just to focus on that middle game real quick, obviously the comeback against Max Fried was sweet. But that 18-2 win over the Yankees truly felt like that's what the Dodgers offense's ceiling can be, where they just go completely off. I mean, his son Kim, I think, had a 4-hit night and a home run included. Max Muncy had hit a home run. Andy Pages hit a home run. Everyone was going off. And like I said, they dropped 18 runs, and Dalton Rushing had his first major league home run. So that was an awesome game. So good win for the Dodgers. Last call for questions, and we're going to get on out of here pretty soon. So make sure to get those questions in here. I know we didn't talk Andy Pages, but he's continued to impress me, really turned his season around. 833 OPS. He's up to 12 home runs, 39 RBIs, and relatively clutch too. I love what he's doing with runners in scoring position. He was hitting above 300 with runners in scoring position. So I think that was another stat that stood out to me. And shout out to Freddie Freeman, had that epic walk-off base hit a few nights ago where he made Brandon Nimmo just look completely lost out there. So
yeah, put his ass in a blender. He had no idea where the ball was. Yeah, Pages has been amazing. And he's also played great defense too. So I guess I'm an idiot, and I should never open my mouth again about him because he has been awesome. Outside of those first 2 weeks, he's really started to rake. He's been consistent. He was the only guy that did anything in last night's game against the Mets. So he's been awesome.
Trying to think if there was anything else we were meant to cover, but I think we've covered it all.
Yeah, I just want to see Hae-Sung Kim more. I just do. I don't think that they're playing him enough. I really hated that when he, like you mentioned, he had that 4-hit game. He hit a home run. He made 2 incredible defensive plays at shortstop and center field. So to me, that game warranted at least 1 or 2 more starts in a row. And he went right back to the pine the next game. And he's kind of, cooled off a little bit, but he doesn't even get that many opportunities. And to me, it's like, I don't want to see Rojas anymore. I've said that a million times, but it pains me every time Dave starts Rojas against a lefty, because you might as well pitch with both hands. It doesn't matter what hand the pitcher pitches with. Rojas can't hit it. So I would rather see Kim in there more often.
All right. So we'll give some question shout outs to the ones that haven't had a chance yet today. So sorry if you already asked a question, we might skip you, but Owen Jackson, Newt Bar and Helsley package.
Helsley is a guy that David Vassay has been floating as a part of some of the guys that he thinks the Dodgers are going to go after. I think he's had a pretty good season as the Cardinals closer. So yeah. I'm down. And Newt Bar we've talked about. I mean, he's a great player, a really versatile, good outfielder. I like him too.
Yeah, I mean, if they got that package done, I'd be ecstatic. The issue right now is the Cardinals are not as bad as I thought they'd be. They're only 4 games out of first place, so they're clearly in the division race right now. They've actually assembled a pretty solid squad. We'll see if they can hold that up, though. Justin Yamas, Kevin Gausman, or Chris Bassett, both Blue Jays starting pitchers. I've got to go with Kevin Gausman, in my opinion. I think he's just the better pitcher. And he's also a guy that was not lit up by the San Diego Padres in a playoff game. So I feel better about that too. But Gausman's a guy that just throws innings every season. And this year he's looked sharp enough with a 3.82 ERA. But again, I'm just not quite convinced yet that the Dodgers are going to trade for a big time starting pitcher.
I can't see why they wouldn't. I have to imagine that even with these pitchers potentially coming back, that Andrew Friedman is really worried about what could happen when the Dodgers get to October like they did last year, where they had 3 starting pitchers for the whole postseason. So I don't know. I have a feeling that the Dodgers are going to make a move. They may not go after, the best starting pitcher on the market, but I think they'd be foolish not to at least get one.
It's really just going to boil down to health and availability. You only got 26-man spots. You only got 13 spots really for the pitchers. Having Ohtani hopefully come back to be in that rotation. Obviously, you get a free pitcher, and that would be big. But yeah, I already mentioned all the guys hopefully coming back. And I'm just not convinced that Freeman is going to want to trade a lot of the prospects this upcoming deadline. I feel like they gave up a lot last year to win it, and it was obviously worth it. I don't think Dalton Rushing is going to get traded. I don't think they want to move Zaire Hope. I'm just worried that these teams are going to have the Dodgers tax when asking for a return. So it could hold things up. In hindsight, Garrett Crochet would have been the move, but here we are. Anything else? This will be a last question, it appears. BJ Santana, a Mets fan. What the hell? Do you think the Mets are the biggest challenge for the Dodgers this year? Let's go Mets.
Let's not go Mets. No, I think the biggest challenge this year is the San Diego Padres. And
really,
yeah, I just think that in terms of teams that play the Dodgers really tough, and we haven't seen the Padres yet this year, but I just have a feeling they're going to give them a run for their money like they always do. They're going to be a threat. I am smart enough and have seen enough baseball and seen enough the San Diego Padres, at least this iteration of them, to honestly say that they always do show up at some point. So until I see something different,
not always.
I think
let's not lie here, Jake. They don't always show up.
Against the Dodgers, they typically do.
No, they do not.
Yes,
historically they are good maybe once every other year for the last 5 years.
They beat us. They beat us. They beat us in the NLDS in 2022. Yes. They smacked us around, and they nearly beat us last year. They were a game away from beating us, and we were the better team and we won. So they are the biggest threat. I mean, if that's the question, then yeah, I think the Dodgers can beat the Mets. I think that they can. They just didn't have enough of their health. They didn't have enough healthy pitchers to beat them. But I think the Dodgers can beat the Mets.
I don't think the Padres have the starting pitching depth to hold on and be a threat for the Dodgers this season. I mean, the Diamondbacks were my pick, but they're done. Sounds like Corbin Burns is cooked and Tommy John is coming. Let's not sleep on the Philadelphia Phillies. If the Dodgers face them in an NLCS, I don't think that's going to be an easy battle by any means. For whatever reason, the Dodgers always just seem to play bad in Philadelphia. So getting home field advantage might actually matter for once for the Dodgers.
What about the Cubs?
That was going to be my number 2 pick. The Chicago Cubs, they clearly have something good rolling, and I'm sure they're going to be aggressive come deadline and try to add some reinforcements. And obviously with AJ Preller, I can't ignore the fact that he's always aggressive too at the trade deadline. But the Padres are going to Padres. They did not score in 24 consecutive innings against the Dodgers last season. And we said it earlier, that series actually should not have been close. Miguel Rojas was the reason that series was close. If he didn't look like a jackass out there defensively, the Dodgers walk all over the Padres and that series ends in 4. So I blame Miguel Rojas in the first place, why that series went to 5 games. And the year before that, the Padres didn't even make the playoffs. And then I know they knocked us out in 2022, and that sucked a lot. But in 2021, they were not a threat either. It was the Dodgers and the Giants.
The Dodgers, was it last year that the Padres won the season series against the Dodgers?
Yes.
So, I mean, they play us tough. They just do. I mean, it doesn't matter how good or bad that they currently are. That's just how it is. I mean, same thing with the Giants. The Giants are always...
I would love to look back at those games, though, and wonder how many of those games the Dodgers were either injured, either Mookie Betts wasn't playing, or they were throwing out one of their scrub starters. I'd have to look back because I can't remember.
But I mean, I agree with you. Outside of the Padres, for me, I honestly would be more terrified of the Phillies or the Cubs than the Mets. I mean, the Dodgers manhandled the Mets in the NLCS last year.
No, yeah, the Mets are not top 3 for me right now either. It's the Phillies, Cubs, and I guess by default, the Padres right now because they're in second place. So I got Jake. Any final thoughts or anything else random you want to rant about before we head on?
No, I think I've ranted out right now.
Big Miguel Rojas hater podcast today. Apparently,
he sucks. I can't stand him. I'm so sick of him.
What would you do as a fan if Miguel Rojas became the next Dodgers manager?
Oh my God. That's such a great question. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'd continue to watch, but I'd be every episode would be a hate podcast.
It's fair.
What about you? What if that happened?
Oh, if he became the manager, I already lived through Don Mattingly, so I've been through worse. I'm not gonna end it. I'm not gonna end my continuous watching. So here's the final thoughts. I don't know how we're gonna plan for this. The Dodgers begin a 3-game series with the Cardinals tomorrow. Then Monday, they've got a 3-game series with the San Diego Padres. So we're gonna have to figure out how to either preview or get some games in on that. And we'll see which team looks better. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in and watching and listening wherever you get your Incline Dodgers podcast. You guys have a great